Piper, Old River, Middle River, the San Joaquin, the Port of Stockton, Edos, the Marges, just pretty much everything from 3 mile over is usually where we call home. Basically, we haven't really had to run any farther than Mayberry Slough, which is just down below the Antioch Bridge. That was pretty much home for us last fall. So now a little negative. So I live at Course Pirates on a houseboat about 7 months out of the year. My neighbor Chris, who has a houseboat there, he works for the Department of Water Resources. He also works at the Clifton Forebay. So how many people have been out striper fishing in the Delta lately? And how many of you had weed problems? Horrific weed problems. Worst weeds that you've ever seen. Okay. So about 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Department of Water Resources said that they needed to get rid of all navigational hazards, which was your hyacinth. So, you know, hey, the Port of Stockton, it stinks, it's on the news, look at this stuff, we can't navigate, it's ruining our marinas, on and on and on and on and on. The hyacinth was bad, I will agree with them, it was bad. So hyacinth can be killed by the frost. Cold weather, cold water, that will kill your hyacinth. The hyacinth also does not have a root system, so it doesn't plant itself into the soil. It's more just a floating type thing, gets against the side, gets entangled with the toolies, blah, 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 and that's where it sticks. So department, first it went to the fishing. First, I think Fish and Game was like the first ones to take over and try to kill the hyacinth. So they sent out a few boats and, you know, they sprayed a little bit of the hyacinth and they were making their way about it. And not a lot of people heard about it. And then they really couldn't get the upper hand on it. And then for some mysterious reason, it went to state parks because a lot of it is in the Franks Track area, which is a state park. Big Break and all those places like that. Delta Meadows State Park. Those are all state parks. So then the Department State Parks started doing the spraying. And they got some boats. So we had the Fish and Wildlife boats, then we had the state park boats, and they did the spraying. And that was pretty cool. You know, they got rid of the hyacinth. Good job. Sprayed all that hyacinth. The hyacinth was pretty much gone. You know, we were able to navigate places like Beaver, Sycamore, and Hog. There was a time that the hyacinth was so bad that you couldn't even drive into the back of Beaver. I mean, it was off, you know. For me, cool, man, because I drift live bait. When I had hyacinth problems and hyacinth mats in San Joaquin, I would get my boat in a mat, find a little hole, we just drop our baits in there, we drift with the hyacinth. You know, all good with the world, right? We can still catch fish. So then the next thing you know, Department of Boating and Waterways, they take over the spray program. Kind of funny how all these state agencies are like, we have it, then we get rid of it, and so on and so forth. So now Department of Boating and Waterways has taken over the spraying program. So they've upped the game by using about 30 to 40 boats on a daily basis. They were only supposed to spray places that were navigational hazards, Port of Stockton, marinas, places like that. So there was a few bass fishermen that started following these guys around, videotaping what they were spraying. You know, they're killing beavers, they're killing bass, and so on and so forth. I also have a client who's also my dock mate inside my marina, who's been in the chemical business for over 40 years. One of his fellow employees was, what's the guy's name who killed his wife and threw her in the bag? Lacey Peterson? Scott Peterson? Anyways, this guy worked with Scott Peterson. That's kind of off the beaten trail. But anyways, Art tells me, hey, you know what? What they're using out there, it is Roundup. It's a form of Roundup, but it only kills plant life. It's only designed to kill plant life. Now, I'm like, okay, I'll buy that. So once they got rid of the hyacinth with their spraying, what happened was all the hydrilla started seeing sunlight for the first time in 30 years, and it started growing like crazy. So now they're like, oh my gosh, we got to get rid of all this hydrilla. But the hydrilla is not a navigational hazard. So originally they told you they had to get rid of the hyacinth because it was a navigational hazard. Now, why do they want to get rid of the hydrilla? So basically, they went in there and they used a time-release pellet, about yay big. If you guys see them out there, they'll have like a big blower set up on the front of their boat, just like a regular blower, and a hopper. And then what they do is they just dump like pellets inside this hopper, and they spray these pellets everywhere. And it's got a clay encapsulated Roundup, and some of the clay burns off, and it lets it out, and it kills the plant life, and then it sits there, it gets moved around, and it opens up, so on and so forth. So anyways, they were not supposed to continue with this assault of the Delta because of all the stink everybody was making up. Well, they haven't stopped. I had a day off the other day, so I went over to Paradise Point, which is over off of King Island in the San Joaquin. And me and my deckhand counted 17 brand new trucks and trailers by the Department of Boating and Waterways. So that's where they keep them at. If you've ever been to Paradise Point, they got a bunch of sheds in there. That's where they hide all their boats. They hide all their boats in those sheds, and they bring them out and they do their spraying. So where are we at today? They're definitely killing the weeds. Definitely killing the weeds, and it's bad. You know, I mean, there's so much weeds out there right now. And again, we only drift live bait. I had 2 clients today. The guy called me last night, hey, can I bring some casting rods? You can bring some casting rods, but you're probably not going to be able to use them because we drift live bait. So that's what we do. We drift live bait. So we set our baits in the water with our wakes, and we just drift with the current. So we're going the same speed of everything in the water column, and we can't fish. So if you troll, you might as well just put all your trolling gear on it because you're not going to troll. But with that being said, there's certain times at the tide where you're going to be able to fish. Anybody guess when them tides will be? When they're not moving, when they're changing. Okay, the best time to get a striper bite is at the tide change. I don't care if it's high to low, low to high. The best time, like today I was in Liberty. I got there about, I don't know, my bait guy was late. By the time I got to Liberty, I was there about 8:30, 8:45. We had a pretty good bite for about 45 minutes. Then we had slack tides, the north wind came, and that's another story. But so the best bite is usually at a tide change. But when the tides are ramping up right now, it's weedy. It's weedy. So, and I have to listen to my deckhand complain all day long about how weedy it is. It's too weedy here. We got to move. Dude, where am I going to move to? You know? So a little piece of advice would be is that just because you're out in front of Course Pirates Lair on the San Joaquin and you're behind the Toolies, Matt, you're behind the Toolies trying to do Chuck's pipe.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, it's totally filthy dirty. You can't do it. If you move over towards the spindrift side, the wider side of the river, where the water's not restrained as much and where it's not moving as fast, it's fairly clean over there. The problem is that, well, it's not moving as well, so the fish aren't as active as well. There's not as many fish over there. So that's just one of my headaches that I'm having. Second headache is that with all the water we had last year, all the high rains, all these great winters we had, we still have no water in the Delta. And that's because there's way too much water diversion going on in the Delta right now. I understand that they need water for crops. Anybody a farmer in here? I have a lot of farmer clients. Anybody watch Amazon Prime TV? Nobody. Yeah. Anybody ever seen that show Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton? Okay. Well, if you guys have Amazon Prime, you should watch the season because it's about the water wars. It's about the Central Valley and how much water they take. Does anybody, and then we're going to talk about fishing. Does anybody know how much water it takes to grow one almond? It takes 5 gallons of water to grow one almond. I'm getting all teary-eyed, man. I think I'm going to become like a lobbyist or something. It takes 5 gallons of water to make one almond. You know how many almond trees are in the Central Valley? In a 400 square mile. How many almond trees do you think there is in 400 square miles in the Central Valley?
More than there used to be.
There's over 15 million. You know who owns those 15 million? Because I'm going to hit you guys with and then we'll go talk fishing. Resnick. Anybody know who Resnick is? Westland Water District. He's the richest, one of the richest men in the world. His wife owns Nestle. So write this down. Nestle Water. Matt.
No, Rayleigh's. Rayleigh's, yeah.
They own Fuji Water, which don't really come from Fuji. They own Palm, the little stuff you squirt in your water. And then they own all the almonds and pistachios that you consume in California, unless it has red dye. If it has red dye, it comes from places like India, Iran, places like that. You gotta eat pistachios, eat them with the red on there so it gets on your fingers. Okay? Oh, you love pistachios?
No, the pistachios were not around when we were farming.
Right.
And now,
right.
God.
So, I'm only 55 years old. again, I'm not gonna bum you guys all out. I'm just gonna educate you a little bit, and then we'll go on. I'm only 55 years old. When I was born and raised in the Freeport area, when I fished Clarksburg, Elk Slough, Miners Slough, Liberty, all that, there was nothing but tomatoes, pears, corn, I don't know, watermelon, seasonal crops, sugar beet mill, sugar beet factory that don't burn no more. So basically what happened was this dude came into California, and he bought all the water rights from all these farmers, and he owns all the water rights. They own 5 islands in the California Delta. I will tell you that the twin tunnels have been shut down. X-nay, not going to happen. My buddy Maury Hatch just had some new people that are starting to look at the new development for the single tunnel that they want to put 100 feet under the ground, so they can do it all underground this time and all out of space. So in our lifetime, not going to happen. Grandchildren's lifetime, maybe. Eventually, they will steal the rest of the water here in Northern California. So, weeds, water diversion, Antioch Bridge. You go down to Antioch and say, Captain Mike, don't even get the avionics app on his phone for the tides. Shit, man, we went down to Antioch. The incoming tide was supposed to happen at 8 o'clock. It's 9:30. It's still not coming in. Antioch Bridge, about 2.5 hours off. So all your tides are going to be off, but they're going to be a lot off depending on what they're doing. If they turn on the Clifton Forebay, it creates about a 7-knot tide to the Clifton Forebay. It creates seven knots of tide coming into the Clifton Forebay where my buddy Chris works. Where they have to clean the weeds off around the clock, 24/7, 3 crews around the clock. And that's all they do. Lift the screens, clean the screen, lift the clean. You know. So now you know why they want to clean all the weeds out. Right? It's not for navigational hazard. It's to make the delta sterile so they can have clean water. So as of last week, they have shut down the Clifton Forebay pumps because the salinity levels are too high. It's not salinity levels from the ocean. It's residential salinity levels. It's from water softeners. Right? He said they cannot process water softener water into the Clifton Forebay. So, all right. So what else?
Is it 2.5 hours behind?
It's about 2.5 hours behind.
Behind. So if it says 11, plan on 1:30.
Right.
Whatever.
So anyways, you can see a little sun on my face. Been a lot of wind, man. Been the windiest fall I've ever seen. Down at Course Pirate Slayer, my harbor master, he's been there 19 years. Windiest fall he's ever seen. It's not supposed to be windy right now. It's supposed to be foggy, supposed to be cold, maybe some rain. Gosh darn it, man, it feels like spring out there. So Captain Mike's had to deal with the weeds, the water, the wind. So our striper season has started off very slow. It's the slowest I've ever seen it. My hand is over the panic button, but I'm not panicking yet. Matter of fact, Seth Hendrickson has not had me on the radio the last couple weeks because I got pretty negative the last time I was on there. He doesn't let me voice my opinion, right? He wants me to go on the radio and tell you guys, oh, it's wide open, 916-806, give Captain Mike a call. I don't need your business. I'm busy enough. I have great clients. I've had great clients for over 13 years. I mean, I'd love to have new ones. Don't get me wrong. I had new ones today. Sounds like they're coming back in the spring. They had a great time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I don't want your business. I'm just saying I'm not going to stand up on a soapbox and say, hey, you need to come with Captain Mike go fishing, because I don't need that. I don't need to go on the radio and sell you hype. I'd rather tell you the truth, maybe help you catch a few fish along the way. Okay? So fishing is very slow right now. So if you haven't been out, you haven't missed a thing. It's coming. When I first started, water temperatures were 72 degrees. I saw it get as cold as 60. Today it was 64. So it's kind of going back up a little bit. Wind and sun are still forecasted for the next 2 weeks. So I'm really excited about that. I told my deckhand, he gets up, dude watches the news every morning. I'm trying to get ready. Wind's gonna blow today, wind's gonna blow today. I tell you what, I worked in Alaska, the wind blew 30 knots every day. So finally I told him, look here, Todd, just shut up about the wind, dude. When it's not windy, rejoice that it's not windy. Other than that, we need to go fishing. So again, as far as water movement, weeds, and then the wind, you're very limited to where you can fish. Right now, one of my best bites right now is in False River, just up on the side of Old River by Frank's Track. That's probably one of where my best bets are right now. And I'm against the northern banks, so anything that's running east and west right now is mostly what I'm fishing right now. So basically, you know, when you get up in the morning, you know, check your favorite wind app, which never works, but at least it gives you somewhat of an idea, right? And so then you kind of need to familiar yourself with, you know, hey, where can I fish when the winds are blowing from this direction? Usually it's a southwest out of the delta, but right now it's been a north. So most of my banks have been running east and west, and just fishing tight against the banks right now. So yeah, it's going to get better. I mean, I keep telling my clients. One of my clients who I fished last week is coming out with me next week again, and he texted me and he said, "Did you go to the cleaning station today?" I'm like, "Yes, we did." Because we've had a lot of days this year, man, where we haven't went to the cleaning station, and that's not like us. So, any questions, you guys, on tides? I did touch on it a little bit, but everybody's shaking their head. No, everybody's good with your tides, kind of how they work. The bigger the tides, the faster they flip. I did fish Liberty today. The break at Prospect there, the one with the little spark plug, if anybody's familiar with that area. That's where I did fish today. Water was super low. Alan looked at me and goes, "You went up there today?" He goes, "Was the water low?" I'm like, "Yeah, the water was low, but I was 2.5 hours of it being low at my marina." And so yesterday I tried to hang out down there, and again with the tide slowing down way faster than it should, because usually on an outgoing tide, anywhere on the delta, on that side at least, and the Clifton forebay does not have to be turned off. If you ever drive down Highway 12 right before you get to Tower Park, you guys ever see Kentucky bluegrass out there? You seen how big Kentucky bluegrass got? Man, when it was drought years, they had just a little patch of grass because nobody's buying grass, right? Now they're back on fire, dude. There's grass for as far as you can see. So you got to think about that. All that water that they're using to irrigate that grass right there, that all comes off our rivers. So when you're back in 21 Mile, where I went the other day, where all my buddies like Nick Smith, the foreman fisherman's been fishing, I'll just throw him under the bus because he thinks he's been hiding in there. They've been in there casting and getting a lot of fish. Over by Garlic Brothers. Anybody familiar with Garlic Brothers? Anyways, not much tide in there. So for me, drifting bait doesn't work very good. We were in there drifting the other day, full of birds, hiding from the wind. Small little bait. It's not this big. Small little bait. And so for drifting live bait, we need a little bit of movement. So we didn't have much movement, and yeah, we didn't get nothing in there. A lot of small little baits in there. Port of Stockton.